It started with music. Loud, thudding, heartbeat-level bass echoing through a house too crowded for comfort. Emma was 17, a borrowed red dress, lip gloss she didn't like, and a best friend who begged her to come out just for one night. "Just dance," Lily had said. "You'll feel better." Emma didn't feel better, but she tried. She laughed in the kitchen, sipped soda from a plastic cup, dodged the boys with beer breath. And then she met Ryan. He was older, a friend of a friend. Too charming, too sure of himself. He said things like, "You're not like the other girls here," and "I like girls who don't try so hard." She didn't know how to respond, so she smiled, out of politeness, out of nervousness, out of fear. Later, she couldn't remember how she got upstairs. She remembered the bedroom door, the smell of cologne and alcohol, the sound of music muffled through the walls, the weight, the no, the hands that didn't stop. And then it was morning. She woke up in Lily's room, fully dressed, dizzy, silent. She didn't tell anyone. Not that day, not that week, not for months. Because the world teaches girls that memory is messy, that clothes matter, that silence means consent. Because she wasn't bleeding, because she didn't scream, because she didn't remember everything, but she remembered enough. She remembered saying no. She remembered his laugh, and she remembered that no one ever asked her if she was okay. Emma became very good at pretending. At school, she smiled in the hallways, laughed at the right jokes, turned in assignments on time. No one noticed she never went to parties anymore, or that she didn't wear red, or that her eyes didn't stay on boys' faces when they spoke. She stopped texting Lily, not out of blame, but because she couldn't answer questions that weren't being asked. Every night she showered until her skin turned red. Every morning she rehearsed normal. She Googled things she was afraid to say aloud. What counts as assault? If I didn't scream, does it still matter? How do I tell someone? The world online was loud, contradictory. Some voices said, "Believe survivors." Others asked, what was she wearing? Emma felt invisible. Or worse, like if she ever stopped pretending, the world would turn on her. And in a way, it did. Rumors started months later. Someone had seen her go upstairs. Someone else claimed she was drunk. She wasn't. Someone said she hooked up with Ryan. She didn't. No one asked her. The whispers followed her through classrooms. One boy high-fived Ryan in the cafeteria. Another asked if Emma was still acting traumatized. She wanted to disappear. Instead, she opened a notebook, wrote every detail she remembered, every thought, every piece of her that still hurt. She didn't call it a journal. She called it evidence. She wasn't ready to speak, but someday she would be. And when that day came, she wanted to be sure of every word. It happened in English class. They were reading a novel about injustice, about a girl who wasn't believed. The teacher, without looking up, asked, "What do you think stops people from telling the truth?" Emma felt the air shift. Her chest tightened. Someone behind her muttered, "Maybe they're lying." A few students laughed. Emma didn't. Her pen trembled in her hand. That night, she added a new entry to her notebook. "I'm not afraid of telling. I'm afraid no one will believe me." She reread her notes. The memories. She added dates, names. She included how she'd felt, what she'd worn, where she'd sat in the kitchen before happened, the color of the door. Then she wrote the question again. What stops people from telling the truth? She didn't know if the world was ready to hear hers, but she knew this. The longer she stayed silent, the louder the lies became. That weekend, she went to a youth center downtown. She walked past it twice before going in. The counselor there had kind eyes, didn't interrupt. Emma didn't tell her everything, but she asked, "If something happened months ago and I didn't say no loud enough, does it still matter?" The counselor answered without hesitation, "Yes, it always matters. You always matter." Emma cried for the first time since the party. It didn't fix everything, but it changed something. Emma didn't tell the counselor everything that day, but she went back the next week and the one after. Every time, the words came easier. The pieces fit together more clearly. The fog that had blurred her memory began to lift. Not because it hadn't happened, but because it had been too painful to see. And now she was ready to look. She learned the name for what had happened: sexual assault. She learned what trauma does to the brain, how silence is survival, how memory protects and confuses. That saying no once, or even silently, is enough. Her counselor never rushed her, never doubted. Eventually, Emma asked, "If I tell people now, will it still count?" The answer was yes. It would always count. But that didn't mean it would be easy. At home, she practiced in the mirror. Then, one night, she told her mom. The room went still. Her mom listened, asked quiet questions, and then cried. "I didn't know," she whispered, "but I believe you. I'm so sorry I didn't know." That moment, more than any other, made Emma feel like she could breathe again. A week later, she gave her notebook to the school counselor. A formal report was filed, and the rumors came back, louder this time. Some classmates called her a liar. Others whispered behind her back. Ryan denied everything. But a few people surprised her. A teacher left a note in her locker. "You are brave." Lily texted for the first time in months. "I'm sorry. I should have asked you if you were okay. I didn't know how." And one girl, she barely knew, approached her in the hallway. "I read what you posted online," she said. "Thank you. It helped me tell my mom what happened to me." Emma didn't feel powerful yet, but she had made a choice. to stop being silent, to stop carrying shame that never belonged to her, to tell her story, not just for herself, but for others. The week after Emma made her report, everything cracked open. Some teachers treated her more gently, others avoided eye contact. In the hallway, eyes followed her like shadows. Online, things were worse. Someone posted a meme, a joke, a screenshot of her old selfies with cruel captions. Her phone buzzed with anonymous messages. "Attention seeker, you just regretted it. You're ruining his life." Emma stared at her screen in disbelief. Her heart pounded. Her stomach turned. She deleted the app, but the words stayed. That afternoon, the school principal called her in. His tone was neutral. He asked if she was sure she wanted to continue, if maybe this would all go away quietly. Emma looked him in the eye. "I already didn't speak once. I'm not doing that again." He nodded, but not warmly. Outside in the courtyard, she sat alone. Then Lily appeared. "I know I wasn't there for you," she said, "but I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." They didn't hug. They didn't cry. They just sat in silence, a better silence, one made of presence. Later that night, Emma wrote a post, not a long one. "I told the truth. I'm not sorry for that. If you've been hurt too, I believe you. It's not your fault." She closed her laptop and turned off her phone. She didn't need to see the comments, because she knew she wasn't the only one reading those words and finally breathing easier. Emma's post traveled further than she expected. Within days, it had been shared by classmates, cousins, even strangers she didn't know. Girls messaged her anonymously, some with just 2 words, "Thank you." Others sent long paragraphs, stories, confessions. Some had never told anyone. Emma printed those messages and pasted them into the back of her notebook. Each voice, each pain, became part of something larger. She wasn't just surviving. She was witnessing. A week later, the school guidance counselor asked her to speak at an upcoming student safety assembly. Emma nearly said no, but then she thought of the girl who'd said, "Your words helped me speak." So she said yes. She didn't rehearse. She didn't memorize. She stood in front of her peers, hands shaking slightly, and said, "I thought I'd be alone forever if I told the truth. But I wasn't. And if you're holding something inside, please know it's not your fault." The auditorium was silent. Then applause. Hesitant at first, then real. Afterward, a teacher told her quietly, "I wish someone like you had spoken when I was in high school." Emma went home that day, feeling something she hadn't in a long time. Proud, not because of what happened, but because of what she'd done with it. Emma joined a support group. It met every Tuesday evening in the community center library. Quiet chairs, soft lighting, people who spoke slowly and with care. She didn't speak the first meeting, or the second, but she listened to stories older than hers, younger, different, and the same. When she finally did speak, it was one sentence. "I thought it was my fault." The room didn't gasp. No one judged. A woman across from her nodded slowly, then said, "We all did, once." Emma began to understand something big. Trauma doesn't isolate because we're weak. It isolates because shame is loud and pain is quiet. But in that circle, pain became language, and language became power. She started attending regularly. She brought Lily once, then another friend, then a girl from school who had whispered to her after class, "Me too." By spring, they'd started a youth peer group, just for teens, just to talk. Not therapy, not mandatory, just space. Emma was no longer trying to erase what had happened. She was learning how to carry it, with others beside her. One night after group, she stayed behind to stack chairs. The facilitator, a quiet woman named Jo, said, "You know, you could lead these one day." Emma blinked. "Me?" Jo smiled. "You already are." Spring brought change. Light returned earlier. Warmth settled on Emma's skin like something burned. She was no longer just recovering. She was evolving. At school, students started challenging the culture. A petition circulated, asking for better sexual assault education. A new club formed, Speak. Emma was asked to co-lead. Ryan transferred schools. The official reason was family relocation. But Emma knew. Everyone knew. She didn't feel vindictive, just steady, a weight lifted. Not because he left, but because she no longer carried him in silence. One day, walking past the mirror in the girls' bathroom, Emma paused, looked, really looked. She didn't see damage. She saw defiance, growth. Her own eyes, not haunted, but watchful, brave. She took a photo. Later, she posted it, captioned simply, "This is what surviving looks like." No hashtags, no tags, just truth. The comments were quiet, respectful. Dozens of private messages followed. More stories, more circles. She saved them all. She knew now. The shift didn't happen all at once. It was a series of small, defiant choices to speak, to stand, to stay. And the world, slowly, was listening. It was a small auditorium, fold-out chairs, a podium with a microphone that squeaked when touched. Emma stood backstage, her palms slightly damp, her notebook clutched to her chest. She was the final speaker at the town's first youth-led summit on consent and survivor advocacy. Her name had been printed on flyers. Her photo, the mirror one, used with permission. People came, parents, teachers, friends, strangers. She stepped into the light. The silence welcomed her. I used to believe that if I told the truth, she began, people would turn away from me, that I'd lose everything. She glanced down at her notes, then up again. But I didn't lose everything. I found people. I found language. I found a version of myself I thought I'd lost. Strong, loud, and still healing. She spoke for 12 minutes. About memory, shame, the night she went silent, the day she chose not to be. And when she finished, they stood. Not everyone, but enough. Afterward, a teacher approached with tears in her eyes. A boy her age shook her hand. A grandmother hugged her and whispered, "Thank you for my granddaughter." Emma walked home that evening, not lighter, but taller, because she knew her voice didn't just break silence, it built something. And graduation day was clear. Warm sun, blue skies, caps tossed, and parents cheering. Emma stood at the edge of the crowd, her gown fluttering, diploma in hand. She had made it. Not just through school, through silence, through shame, through fear. The girl in the red dress at that party seemed a lifetime ago. Emma wasn't fixed. Healing had never been linear. Some nights still came with heavy dreams. Some days, unexpected tears. But she was whole because she had named the pain, shared it, transformed it. Later, at a celebration picnic, a girl she didn't know well approached her. "I wanted to say thank you. I'm starting college next year, and I'm not afraid to speak up anymore because of you." Emma smiled. "Then that means everything." That night, she sat at her window, city lights glowing in the distance. She opened her old notebook, flipped past the first entry, past the evidence, past the fear. She wrote one final line. "I am not what happened to me. I am what I chose to become." And she closed the notebook, not to forget, but to continue, because the story wasn't over. It was just hers now.